crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, Roota.com with your morning horn is your sip of chaga coffee. Oh, you get to the bottom of chaga coffee and you're chugging straight chaga. But keep yourself healthy. We are moving into the summer months, and anything can go. Anything can happen. Silver, I had this discussion with Jenny Moonstone yesterday about silver and the third party in the JP Morgan / Bank of America lease. And I can't hold it back anymore. So we are going to be posting that discussion where we dive into not only who it is, but also who knows about what's going on. People involved in the silver market. Jenny's talent is unbelievable, and match that with my analysis of what I think is going on behind the scenes, and you get the perfect combination of getting to the bottom of this crazy shit, why silver is trading at 40% of its all-time high and gold is trading at 300% of its all-time high at probably the number one time in history when silver should be booming. Number one time in history. And we all know it's computers and derivatives and the COMEX and the rehypothecation of assets and swaptions, options, you name it. Derivatives play a massive role in the valuation of silver and gold. We get into gold discussions about ancient history, especially ancient history in the Grand Canyon, in these places that you, the citizen, are not allowed to go. Over 90% of the caves in the Grand Canyon are off limits to anybody without proper permission, and they will not give permission. But there's more than that within the banks of the Colorado River, within the mile deep hole in the ground called the Grand Canyon. If you ever go there, you will be blown away. It's like so much more impressive than standing in front of the Great Pyramid, standing in front of anything. You feel the energy of this amazing place, and the history there is beyond our comprehension. When the full extent of what's gone on in the Grand Canyon and what's going on now, probably under these destroyed pyramids within the Grand Canyon, yes, they are all named after Egyptian gods. It's not Egyptian, but that's a different argument. Technologies of the past have been used in the Grand Canyon, just like they were used in Egypt. Anybody who's been to Machu Picchu is blown away by what went on there. And Cusco, there's this new technology called LiDAR, where it's like a radar from a plane above, and they've seen literally dozens of mega huge cities within South America under the Amazon jungle and all throughout the Americas. They can use this stuff anywhere. Our history is clearly not what we are told. Anyway, on that note, history will judge those who rigged the silver market, those who invested today just the gold-silver ratio is at, let's find out what the gold-silver ratio is right now. Right now it's 84.5 to 1, which is the most insane thing, especially when we find out there's actually millions of tons of gold in the world and not just the 200,000 tons that Jeffrey Christian will tell you. So much to happen, so much to be revealed. That's just some of the stuff Jenna and I talked about, but the big stuff is who it is. Who is it that is at the back end taking all this silver off the hands of JP Morgan, Bank of America? There is another entity. And we've been digging into this for 2 months, so we found it. And it's like one of those things, like it's right in front of your face. It's something I've been talking about for over 15 years. And for some reason I had a block, but I don't have a block anymore. So I'll be revealing that today or tomorrow when we post the silver discussion of the interview. It's a 3-part interview with Jenny, really fun stuff. We talk about all the things that are going on today too. So go check that out. Go to road2roota.com and click. If you click on subscribe today, you can get to the Jenny Moonstone page. Lots of interesting stuff about cryptos, about theta, and about silver mainly, and the energies of silver and all kinds of cool shit. Anyway, so yes, they are still holding down silver below the moving averages. Yes, this is part of the game. We're well below all the moving averages right now, which are at like 23. Yeah, in the 23 to 50 to 24 range. Again, I do not. Technical analysis is bullshit. They use it to, what would they call it? Skin. Let's call it skin the longs and shorts up and down. They make money going down. They make money going up. They are in a big hole right now, though, and they've been in a hole for a long time, so they have to keep the price suppressed. But there's so much more going on behind the scenes. And this is all controlled with computers and derivatives. With a click of a mouse, they can set the price of silver to minus $40. We talk about that daily almost. So technical, in a rigged market, technicals don't mean shit. That's basically what happens. So hang in there on silver. I did buy some more silver the other day, and it's nice. If you guys want to buy some silver and you don't have a local silver dealer, contact Andy Scheckman. He can be reached at Andy@MilesFranklin. Actually, I think he's on vacation. Go info, INFO, at milesfranklin.com, MILESFRANKLIN.com, and they can set you up. If you need to top off your purchases, great time to do that. Always ask for what they have in inventory so you don't have to wait. When the silver and banking system fall apart, you're not going to be able to get silver, so you don't want your money out there in transition, waiting 3 weeks or a month to get silver, and then the world falls apart between now and then. So always buy what's in inventory. The best thing to do is go to your local coin shop and say, hey, what do you got? That's what I did. Yesterday I went down to my local guys in Castro Valley and said, hey, what do you got? They just got robbed too. I mean, they didn't get anything. They always put their silver away in these gigantic vaults that, and they have great security. So it's kind of hard to rob a gold and silver store when they have great security, because you can't get those safes out fast enough. They're big. Anyway, let's talk cryptocurrencies. Before I get on that, I was John Adams, the guy from Australia who's diving into Perth Mint, and he's a silver guy. Kind of disappeared for a while, came back. And he posted, for some reason, a video called Satoshi Nakamoto is the Deep State. And so I watched it. John's a smart guy when it comes to silver. And I'm like, oh my God, really? I mean, these are arguments that I talked about 10 years ago in cryptos. And he made some statements, and I'm like, people are like, oh my God, people have lost 50% in cryptos. It depends when you take the high and you take the low. In the last year, cryptos, I think, are up. Bitcoin is up a little in the last full year. Calendar years, it's a HODL game. I mean, I hate to say it, but people who listen to people who don't fully understand cryptos are going to miss the boat. The blockchain and cryptos and digital assets will be in our lives for the rest of our lives and our grandkids' lives. So to dismiss it because you don't understand it is a problem. He talks about who is Satoshi, digital money. He brings up that 1996 white paper by the NSA. Digital money goes back for me, it goes back to Alan Greenspan in the 1960s when he wrote the first financial computer programs to help the SEC or help the Federal Reserve rig the markets. His guy, Arthur Burns, that's what Roota is, Root A. And it goes way back. The invention of Bitcoin was just a fix of a very perplexing problem of double spend. That's all Bitcoin was. Digital currencies go back to the 1960s. Really, the first shareable digital money, if you go back, when they could have invented it, was the invention of basic computing by a guy named John Kemeny in the early 1960s. John Kemeny just happened to be one of the best friends and classmates, grammar school or middle school classmates and high school classmates of Alan Greenspan. John Kennedy was so damn smart, he was Albert Einstein's mathematician for a while. So, yeah, this goes way back beyond just Bitcoin. Bitcoin was just another process in what was going on. Of course, the NSA and the Federal Reserve, it's not just the NSA. The Federal Reserve's been working on digital currencies since the 1960s. So this is just Bitcoin was an amazing breakthrough to fix the double spend problem, that huge, gigantic problem. But John also, throws in cryptocurrencies with saying, oh no, it's going to be the amount of cryptocurrencies dilutes the overall amount of cryptocurrencies. It does not. I mean, look at Theta. Theta is a technology. It's not even a cryptocurrency. It's a form of introducing a decentralized internet. The technology behind the Theta token and Theta Fuel and T-Drop are components within that structure of a new way of doing business that's going to change the world. And if you just dismiss cryptocurrencies as, this is a speculative asset, huge disservice to yourself and your listeners. And I would be glad to debate this with anybody if they feel like it. All the arguments that John brought up, I was debating these 10 years ago. But keep it up, John. I'm happy that you're starting to at least ask questions within the crypto space, because that's the beginning of fully understanding how the world is changing. Digital scarcity is what really got me when I had it was a debate with Bill Holter and Jim Sinclair and Cliff High and myself. I mean, my number one argument was, just like gold and silver, Bitcoin is a standalone asset with no third party. And that's so important these days, especially if the entire system's going to break down. If you have your Bitcoin in your wallet, you'll have your Bitcoin in your wallet at all times. Even if the electronic system goes down, somebody said you can calculate a blockchain transaction. It would take you forever. You can calculate, adding to a blockchain transaction without electricity. But, if the electricity goes down, he doesn't bring that up, thank goodness, because that's the dumbest argument ever. We're all dead within a matter of a month because the internet is so, all the nuclear power plants would melt down. All the, just-in-time delivery systems would shut down. You wouldn't have any food. You wouldn't have any water. You wouldn't even have any information. Everything has gone digital. So, yeah. But he didn't bring that up. And he's probably researched that and said, oh, I guess that's not a good argument, it's a ridiculous argument. As soon as I hear that, it tells me that people don't know what they're talking about. But clearly, John has not gone down that path because he saw the flaws in that argument. But there are a lot of arguments that he makes that I'm like, oh my God, we were dealing with this 10 years ago. And here's the problem, especially when people say, oh, Bitcoin has crashed 50% or cryptos are down 90% and all that. And I'm like, in what world do you guys live in that you think this to be true? From its all-time high? Absolutely. I remember it crashing from 1100 down to 100. But what if you get out? And I got out at that point in time. Like, oh, it's over, and then it came back. Cryptos are anti-fragile, meaning they break and then they get fixed, and they're much more stronger than they were before. Imagine doing this when there's only a couple thousand people in the middle of it, not the millions and millions, and probably at some point it will be billions of people that'll be transacting in cryptocurrency. I don't think we're early because I've been in it. How long now? About 10 years. And yes, everything I've hodled, not everything, but the vast majority of what I've hodled has been a smart move. And and it's not about getting rich, because what are you getting rich in? Fiat money? And John clearly understands that, being a gold and silver guy. So, yeah, you guys check it out. And, if you're into cryptos, you can easily poke through these arguments. I think it was the title that kind of got me, really? Satoshi Nakamoto is the deep state. I mean, if anybody would be the perfect candidate for Satoshi, nobody knows who Satoshi is, supposedly. Of course, the NSA was involved in the beginning because the Federal Reserve was involved in the beginning from back in the 60s. I think the perfect candidate for Satoshi would be Alan Greenspan, the world's number one computer programmer financial computer programmer from 1960s to probably about 2 or 3 years after he left the Fed. And mind you, right after he left the Fed, Satoshi comes out and says, "Oh, I've invented a fix for the double spend problem." So I mean, if I had to pick one person that would most likely Satoshi be, it would be Alan Greenspan. Just because he was a computer expert. He's the guy who digitally input 2 digits instead of 4 for Y2K. Really interesting stuff. If you're interested, John, or anybody, go to roadtoroota.com. Look at the origins of Road to Roota. It's right on the front page. I did 2 videos on it. What Roota is root A, and it comes from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. But it also comes from Fortran programming. It is the basis of our financial system that Alan Greenspan built in the early 1970s. So anyway, I just wanted to comment on that. As far as cryptos, really interesting stuff going on in cryptos. Yes, they're all rigged. Yes, they can put Bitcoin at minus $40. Here is a really interesting thing that not many crypto people are talking about. SEC in-house judge violated the right to jury trial, an appeals court says. This is about whether or not how security issues are determined, and do people have the right to a trial by jury? This would put cryptos in an amazing spot, because this is all about securities. And what they're saying here, the Securities Exchange Commission's in-house judge violated U.S. Constitution by denying fraud defendants their right to a jury trial and acting without necessary guidance from Congress. Remember, the SEC is enforcing laws that they suggest. With cryptos, they suggest. What is the law? Show me the law. It's like taxes. Show me the law that was approved by Congress for them to take this money out of my pocket or throw me in jail. The court ruled 2-1 in favor of a hedge fund manager, George Jakarski Jr., and investment advisor, Patriot 28, overturning SEC administrative law. It's administrative law, by the way. Judge's determination that they committed securities fraud. So the SEC is saying, hey, if you're going to try to lay down a ruling that says you have to pay this because you committed securities fraud, that has to go before a jury. Can you imagine what that would do to the cryptoverse? Do you think the people would have a say in what the SEC does? And if the SEC is acting beyond its power or in a destructive way, like they did with Reggie Middleton of Veritasium. You imagine if the Veritasium case went before a jury, they would see the fraud and racism in that ruling. It was shocking to me when you read the SEC case against Reggie Middleton. It is a shocking piece of shit that the SEC did, and the guy in charge of that department left the day after. So a spokesman for the SEC and counsel for the petitioners did not immediately respond to your request. Dodd-Frank Act, which passed Congress after the 2008 financial crisis, expanded the SEC's ability to seek penalties in its administrative proceedings. In the ruling Wednesday, the majority said that because seeking penalties is akin to debt collection, which is a private right, the defendants were entitled to a jury trial. Reggie Middleton, go get your jury trial. That's what I think. The SEC is a joke. It does more harm than good. Who does it protect? It protects the old system. What it does, it gives false protection. The SEC gives false protection. It says, hey, little guy, you can go in there because we're here to protect you. They are not there to protect you, not at all. We would be better off with no regulators at all in securities, in stocks and bonds, in commodities. Why? Because there's so much fraud in there, they can't get it, or they're in bed with the fraudulent actor. If there was no SEC, then people wouldn't invest in crazy schemes Or if they did, they lose their money fast. It comes down to the individual. If you're too stupid to figure out what a good investment is or a bad investment, you should not be participating in it. We live in a nanny state, and the SEC is a nanny on one side, but a criminal nanny on the other side, picking winners and losers. Securities law is a joke. Let people do whatever the fuck they want to do. If they lose their money, they lose their money. If they have their money in a 401k and the banks go down, they will lose everything, and they should. Absolutely. What SEC is going to come bail them out too, like they'd bail out the banks? The banks should never be bailed out. The whole problem is they create these complicated rules that favor the bad guys. And when the banks get bailed out, it's just shocking. How many times have we bailed out banks and then they, heads I win, tails you lose? It's ridiculous. Here, so the XRP trial, it should be done. We shouldn't have any SEC in there. The SEC shouldn't even be involved in cryptos. There's no law. Show me a law of cryptocurrencies. Now, XRP is saying, hey, SEC, your own guy said that things like Ethereum is not a security. And now SEC can't confirm if video of Bill Hinman is actually Bill Hinman in the Ripple case. After reasonable inquiry, the information known and currently available is not sufficient to enable the commission to admit or deny this request. XRP is saying, hey, your own guy said Ethereum was not a security, and now they're saying, no, we can't confirm that it's him. These people are corrupt and criminal. The SEC, if anything, if they're going to be there, any ruling should be run in front of a jury so that we can add some sense of right and wrong to what the SEC. We cannot have the SEC, which has, a handful of administrative judges deciding who the winners and losers are. We, the people, should be voting on whether or not you are able to use XRP. And we can do that in a jury trial. And the jury trial would bring up the law. Show me the crypto laws, please. You've had 10, 12 years, well, you've really had since the 1960s, to write laws around cryptocurrencies. And the SEC still hasn't. And they want massive amounts of money to regulate it. SEC chair uses crypto enforcement in justification for 2023 budget. Gary Gensler says, we need more money. How about just get rid of all the laws and you don't need any money? A $2.1 billion budget for the SEC to run cover for the banks. It's the amount of money that's being spent on things that are anti-American are unbelievable. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Again, the Jenny Moonstone, it's 3-part videos. First 2 parts are going out today, and then the silver part, who is that secret entity behind the silver leases and all that? Who's ending up with the silver? I think we know, and I think it's awesome. To join the private road, go to road2roota.com, hit subscribe today, and we will send you one of these Roota Lives coins, which will be shown at this video right now. You guys take care.